Sometimes the voice of ancestors may seem frightening, bringing doom or curses. But I urge you not to be afraid, and this is what my new story from personal practice is about. It's the story of a girl named Mary. Several years ago, she met her future husband, James, during her first year of university. Mary was a modest girl from a simple family. James was the handsome guy, a senior, and a bit of a show-off. They quickly found common ground. Both had moved to the city to study, both loved romantic movies and strawberry ice cream. He courted her beautifully, took her to concerts. In short, the beginning of their story was very romantic, as it often is with first love. When James graduated, he proposed to Mary. She, of course, agreed. Shortly after the wedding, Mary found out she was pregnant. It was decided that she would take academic leave and move to a small town outside the city, where James was originally from. And that's when everything began. The young girl, now a young mother, quickly realized her husband was still a child himself. He wasn't ready to take on any responsibility, especially not the responsibility of growing up and finding a job. He partied with friends and often came home late and drunk. His mother covered for him and gave them money. When Mary complained that James wasn't helping with the baby or around the house, his mother would wave it off, saying, "He's still young, he has time." Taking care of the child was considered Mary's duty, and as long as the mother-in-law provided financial help, she didn't see the problem. But Mary understood that this situation was not acceptable for her. One evening, when James came home drunk again and tried to raise his hand against her for not welcoming him cheerfully enough, Mary made a decision. She packed her and her daughter's things and left. Looking ahead, I must say this was the best decision of her life. Before any major change, we always receive signs. For example, you might start waking up at the same time every night. Pay attention to such signs. Mary and James eventually divorced, and her mother-in-law was even pleased, thinking now her son could find a real wife who wouldn't complain. When it came to child support, her ex-mother-in-law offered an alternative. "We'll sign over a house in the village to you and your daughter. Do whatever you want with it, and James won't owe you any money." Well, some people can be generous in their own way. Mary thought about it and decided not to return to her parents but to move into that house with her daughter. They started living there, trying to build a new life. But after 6 months in the house, Mary came to me, convinced the house was cursed by her ex-husband's family. When a man and a woman have children together, they become part of the same family system, also called a family tree. It's important to understand that the child binds the parents together forever, like the branches of the same tree. Even if they divorce or live in different countries, the branches remain connected and influence each other. What happens when one branch curses another? People want to cut ties with those who've left their family. They break the connection. But who suffers from this? Only those cursed? No, everyone suffers. I know in our country, many people go to witches, casting curses even on close relatives. So before I continue this story, I want to tell you, stop. Don't curse your own family members. Even if you've divorced, even if your ex-husband or wife seems like a terrible person who has wronged you deeply, remember, you cannot curse. The blood of the one you curse runs through your children. Cursing your ex-spouse means cursing your own children. Now, back to Mary. Why did she think the house from her ex-husband's family was cursed? Let's figure it out. For 6 months, she experienced strange, inexplicable phenomena. Objects fell on their own, there were creaks and rustles, and at night, she heard footsteps and sighs. Her young daughter often pointed to dark corners, saying there was a man there. Once, that creepy man even appeared in Mary's dream, a dark, hunched old man holding a gold coin. I quickly realized Mary didn't know what a curse was or how it manifests. The events she described sounded more like the spirit of an ancestor trying to communicate with her and her daughter. But Mary insisted something was wrong with the house. She kept repeating it. She even remembered how, when she lived with James, he mentioned the house in the village was bad, which is why he never went there while they were together. I decided to do a tarot reading. But the cards told a very different story from what Mary believed. The cards showed that the house was full of light and warmth, and that Mary's future happiness, even a new husband, awaited her there. Despite my predictions, Mary was disappointed. She was hoping I would find a curse, something her ex-mother-in-law had placed on her, and that I would remove it. But there was nothing to remove. There was no negative energy on her or her house. Mary left. Do you want to know if you are cursed? Look at how cats and dogs behave around you. If animals become frightened or aggressive around you, reacting to something seemingly standing behind you, it's possible someone has cursed you with bad intentions. Later, Mary told me she went straight to her ex-mother-in-law's house and started a fight, accusing her of placing a curse on her. But during the argument, it became clear that her ex-mother-in-law hadn't cursed her. However, the house indeed had a dark past. It had been passed down through generations, from the grandmother's grandfather to her, and many unsettling phenomena had occurred there over the years. The mother-in-law admitted she gave the house to Mary to teach her a lesson. Many people are afraid of ghosts. Almost everyone, really. Rustles in the dark, footsteps in an empty room, and other phenomena make us shiver and think of curses or dark forces. But I want to tell you, don't be afraid. Our ancestors have very few ways to communicate and pass on important information to us. Sometimes, you just need to ask the ghost, tell me in a dream what you want to say. And don't be afraid to listen. Mary was in despair, but after talking with her ex-mother-in-law, she had no choice but to return to that bad house. After all, her daughter was there. While Mary was away, an elderly neighbor, Jane, watched over her daughter. When Mary returned, Jane greeted her with bad news: the washing machine had broken while she was away. However, Jane offered to send her son over the next day to fix it. Mary, exhausted from the day, just nodded and went to have dinner with her daughter. The next day, Jane's son, Peter, a handsome 30-year-old man, came to fix the washing machine. Not only did he fix it, but he also repaired the front door, installed a shelf, and helped with other tasks Mary had been unable to get to. While he worked, they talked, and Mary invited him over again, this time just for tea. They became friends, and eventually, Mary came to see me before her wedding. She told me that in the end, I was right. The house had brought her happiness and a new love. But one question remained: the ghost that still appeared to the family. This time, Mary brought her daughter to my consultation. When I saw the little girl, I also saw the one who had been wandering through the house. It was a blood relative of her daughter on her father's side, her great-great-grandfather, the original owner of the house. I asked him why he had been disturbing the family for so many years. What did he want? He showed me the gold coin, the same one he had shown Mary in her dream. This gesture gave me an idea. I advised Mary that, when she had the financial means, she should tear down the old house and build a new one. This time, she listened. A year later, she called me. When they demolished the house, they found an old family treasure, hidden away for generations. It was the gold her restless ancestor had hinted at. Since the treasure was found, the spirit finally found peace. What's the moral of this story? It's not hard to guess. Not all ghosts want to frighten you, and not all strange noises come from lurking evil. Sometimes you need to set aside your fears and trust that your ancestors wish you no harm, only good. And for those who cast curses and wish harm on their relatives, even ex-relatives, hatred is the worst counselor, and malice is the worst friend. Wish happiness for others, and you'll find it for yourself. Everything we send out into the world comes back to us. While I can't help every living soul on earth, I can remind people that they have enough strength to resolve even the scariest problems. You must know that your strength lies in your blood, the blood passed down from your ancestors.